By the end of this year, I'm going to be 29 years old. And my 20s have been nothing but valuable lessons. And even though I don't wish it was different, there are still some things that if I could, I would go back and tell my 20-year-old self or even my teenager self. So today, to mark my 11th day of daily upload, I said yesterday was the 9th, but it's actually the 10th. So to mark my 11th day, I'm going to be talking about 11 things that I would go back and tell my younger self if I had the chance. And I wrote them down because I don't want to miss anything. It's really important. So the first one is don't rush to grow up. It's not easier. When I was younger, I wanted to grow up so bad because I really thought the worst things in the world were listening to my parents, telling me what to do all the time, having them tell me what to wear, having them giving me a curfew to come home, and just basically not having my freedom to be whatever I want and do whatever I want. I thought I knew everything. They don't know what you're talking about. And it turns out I don't know everything. And they actually knew what they were talking about. Right? Now, even though I can stay up till any time that I want or go to until any time that I want, I rarely go anywhere. I'm mostly in my bed. And don't really want to do all the things that I wanted to do. You know, I call my parents now for advice on things more than I've ever done. No, prior when I was younger, when I didn't want the advice. Now I actually want advice on everything. Like they have 20 plus years on me. Like, what do they know that can help me? Because it's not easy out here being an adult, right? And so at that point, they were responsible for me. I'm not responsible for myself. No, I am responsible for myself. You don't want to listen to your parents, but no, you got a boss that you got to listen to, or else you ain't got no paycheck coming in, right? Yes, you can go find another job, but if this is the same trait that you're bringing everywhere, it's not going to work out for you, baby. It's just not. So it's just that you think it's hard being held accountable and being responsible and all of the things that your parents instill in you, but it's way harder when you become an adult and you don't have those values, you don't have those traits, and you frankly are completely responsible for yourself. When you have those bills hitting and you know that you're the one who has to pay it, it gets a lot harder, right? When you're a kid, your only job description is to be a good child and to be a good student. When you grow up, your job description is probably 365 pages long, plus what they didn't tell you when they're hiring you that you find out after you're hired. And so it gets a lot more harder. So be a child for as long as you need to be. Don't rush, it's gonna come, and when it comes, you'll be better prepared for it if you just take the time to be a child when you're a child so you can be an adult when you're an adult. All right? The next one is ask for what you want and don't feel bad for it. Because, man, this is a muscle that you don't even know that you're building. When I was younger, I didn't like asking for stuff. I just wanted to grow up so I could provide for myself and be my own provider, because as I talked about many times on my channel, my dad, he's been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years. He's always working, and every time I ask for money, many times outside of the regular school money, lunch money to go to school, he would say he didn't have it. And I just baffled with the idea that how do you work so much and you never have money? And I just hated asking because it just made me feel like I'm begging you to take care of me as your child, you know? So I just never liked it, and I thought, you know, I grew up and I wouldn't need anybody and I wouldn't need anything. Turns out you need people. It says, there's a quote that says, if you want to go long, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go with others, because there's power in community and there's power in having people around you that are interested in your growth and invested in your future and your success. alongside you and you them, right? And you have to ask for what you want more as an adult than you probably did need to do it as a child. Because best believe your parents cared about you. They wanted to give you what they could afford and also what you needed. When you're an adult, most people don't care about you. They would actually benefit from you not asking because then they don't have to give you anything. And the wrong people will take advantage of that. The wrong people would want to keep and not give you anything. So it's benefiting them to keep. When you don't ask, you're doing them a favor, not yourself. And so even now as I'm older, this is something that is not easy for me. It's still a struggle for me, but I've gotten so much better at it, and I am just continuously building the muscle one step at a time to get to that level where I'm way more comfortable asking. But I realized that when I was younger and I had the opportunity to do it and I was running away from it, it wasn't something that I should have run from. It's something that I should have leaned into. But of course, as a child, you don't know everything. Number 3, save like you are responsible for yourself and spend like your parents are responsible for you. When I was in high school, I always had money for different miscellaneous things. Like I would always save up my money for any little thing that would just come up. For example, if my siblings came home from school and needed something, I was able to cover that, and just any little thing that would just pop up. So I was saving for an occasion. I was saving for, just whatever I needed. And also because I really didn't like to ask, which anyways, but I was, constantly saving up for that and so forth. But I didn't know anything about investing. I didn't know anything about multiplying your money. And so I would literally go back and have this conversation, like save to save as well. Don't just save to spend. Don't just spend all of the money that you saved up. Keep some that you can use for later in your life, because you're thinking about just now when you have a whole life ahead of you. And of course, as a child, you're not really thinking about that, but that's something that I would definitely tell my younger self, so we could start building this financial muscle. This next one is, and let me go back. When I say spend like your parents are responsible for you, that means ask them for what you need. Don't feel like you have to be obligated to take care of yourself. Yes, you have to try to become independent, but you also become independent by having a foundation. Having that foundation behind you, having money saved up, gives you some independence. And you can't have that if you're spending everything, right? So that's kind of what I meant with that statement. This next one, give your parents grace. They are really doing their best. Man, this one is fully loaded. Because when I was a teenager, I've shared this before, that my dad was working nonstop. Sometimes I wouldn't see my dad until like 2 weeks. And when he comes, he'll probably just come for a day or two. Then he's back on the road selling. You'd always make sure that we get your lunch money and food. You'd always send that over with somebody that's coming to our community. So we were okay in that area, but he was never home. And when he would come home, he would be miserable, just bossing us around. It's my way or the highway, do what I say, or come out of my house type of, parents from back then. And it really put a dent on our relationship. We did not have a great relationship when I was in my teenage years, because I really resented the fact that, it just felt like because you're the parent, it's just your way. You're not trying to understand me. You're not trying to listen. I felt very neglected and didn't really feel loved as a child. And so that sent me searching for it in the very wrong places, to be honest. But that just really created a very bad relationship between me and my dad. It's not until I started college, when I actually left Jamaica and came to the States, when our relationship actually got better. And because we got to talk about some of these things. I asked questions. I tried to understand his framework and what was going on, because I was just like, how is it that, it felt like you hated me. Like, what was it? So we had those discussions and we talked through some things. And as I'm an adult now, I understand some of those perspectives. Like, I was just a child in my own world, feeling like I have the world on my shoulder, not realizing that my parents actually have the world on their shoulders, right? Because they have to worry about how they're going to provide for themselves and us. He's working, he's running a business, he's trying to manage the business, he's trying to manage a home, he's trying to do it all there at the time. And my mom was overseas as well. We would talk every day, but of course she wasn't there physically. So I also felt neglected in that area, even though we would be on the phone all the time. And so I also grew up with some anger towards her, because I'm just like, both of you guys have me and none of you guys are here. But then I understand they had to work so that they could provide. And funny enough, when I started college and I came to the States, my mom was paying my rent for at least 3 months until I got settled into my job. So if she wasn't working, she wouldn't be able to do that for me. So it balances out when I'm looking at it now as an adult and seeing the perspective that, they never wanted it to be this way intentionally, but this is just the cards that they are dealt, and they just are doing the best that they can. And just having grace for that and seeing the situation through their eyes helps you to kind of forgive them if you're holding resentment against them, and just even try to develop a relationship, a deeper relationship with them now, since that you're past that stage and you can more ask the questions and have the conversations that you didn't even know you wanted to have, but they were just inside of your head. This next one is kind of related to that, and it's basically give yourself grace. Because for a lot of times in my younger years, I just felt angry at everybody. I made some really poor decisions, and I really wish I had more guidance in terms of how to navigate certain things. I felt like I was raising myself and I was also raising my siblings. And so I wasn't really getting that time to be a child because I just had so much responsibilities. And even now as an adult, that's really just kind of shaped how I function. So it has helped me in many ways to be responsible, but it also feels like a burden to always have to be the responsible one. So just having grace with myself to know that I was carrying way more load than I should have even been carrying as a child. And so even though I made choices that weren't necessarily the best, based on the cards that I had, it could have been way worse. I could have fared out way worse than I am. And so just forgiving myself and having grace with myself for making bad decisions and just picking the pieces up now, because there's no point in dwelling on the past and we cannot change it. So if that's you, give yourself some grace. You did the best that you can, and you're going to make your latter better. All right. This next one, oh my gosh. It's okay. This number 6. It's okay if you don't know what you want your entire life to look like. I honestly believe we put so much pressure on young people to have it all figured out when you as a grown person don't even have it figured out. When I left high school, the questions started coming in. It's just like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to do this? And that created pressure for me. I started to put pressure on myself. No, I have to go to college. No, I have to do this, because people that are around me are saying this is the thing to do. And sometimes even when I go to my little sister and I'm asking her, like, what are you going to do? I have to really stop myself sometimes and be like, I want to understand and I want to guide you. That's the place that I'm coming from. I don't want to add pressure to you, because pressure bursts pipe, as they say in Jamaica. But even though a healthy amount of pressure is needed for us to move sometimes, it does sometimes create the opposite effect and creates us to be stuck and stagnant because we just feel overwhelmed. And so you just have to move. Once you're in motion, you will figure things out. If you make a career path and that's not what you want, you can change it, you can pivot. You are never stuck. You can always make a next move. And when you're doing something, you're likely going to figure out what you're going to do. When I started recording these daily videos, I don't have the entire title for every video that I'm going to talk about. But the more I make the videos, the more I find something to talk about. And it just shows that you're just never going to have everything figured out at once, even when you become an adult. So what makes you think you're going to have it figured out when you're 20, 19, 18? It just doesn't work like that. You just have to take one step at a time, do what lights you up, and keep moving, because as you move, the path will just become more clearer. And sometimes trying to figure everything out is a recipe for procrastination, because if you can't see the clear path, you're not going to move, and then you're really not going to see the clear path unless you move. So that would have been a great perspective shift for me to have. I would have taken so much pressure off myself, and now that I know this, it just helps me to just be. I heard a video today by a creator, I don't remember her name, but she just really emphasized the point that we are human beings, not human doings. And sometimes we just get caught up in doing that we forget to be. And we just have to rest in that space and to remember that the path will appear. He says, what did he say? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You just have to show up and keep moving, and everything will be okay. All right. Number 7, find hobbies, go outside. When I was younger, I was never inside. I don't remember having a doll, a Barbie, or any of the dolls. I was always outside playing marbles. I was always with the guys at river. I was climbing trees. I said I'm always at river, and I smiled because I don't know how to swim. Anyways, I'm gonna learn. I just haven't learned yet. Let me say it that way. But I was always outside doing something, playing run-down and catch, foot cricket, bat up and catch, hide and seek. I was really in the house when I was younger. And as soon as I got older, I just didn't have hobbies anymore. I know I like to go outside, and I try to make that a part of my life again actively. But I just didn't have anything that I liked doing anymore. And it's just that that's not something that should stop because you grow older. I just really believe that when you become an adult, we overcomplicate life. I mean, I get it. We have responsibilities, we have bills, we have all of these things that are very demanding, but losing parts of ourselves that helps us to feel alive does no good for us nor anybody around us. Hobbies are essential to create balance in life. And your hobbies may change as you grow older, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't have them. And it's okay. If you don't like something again that you liked when you were younger, that's completely fine too. And if you like something that you liked when you were younger, it's okay. Don't be fooled or feel uncomfortable for anybody saying that you are acting like a child. I just want to show you something. Like, I have a puzzle book that I do. I just finished it. I don't care if anybody wants to think that I'm a little child because I do puzzles. Like, what? I like to do them. They helps me to focus. They help me to relax and to just organize my mind. That's one of my hobbies. That's something that I've been doing from I was a child. I just stopped doing it because, I don't know, it just kind of get lost. But now I'm doing it again and I feel good. And I'm not ashamed to say that I do it. I love to go on a swing song. I remember one time when I went out with a friend to a park, and I went on the swing song to go swing, and she looked so uncomfortable, like, you're an adult, why are you swinging? And I'm like, it's so crazy how we become adults and lose the parts of us that are silly or playful because you are supposed to be responsible. Like, when does being responsible make you a robot? Like, why you can't still be silly and responsible? And that's why we have a lot of adults who are acting like children, because they really have it's like your body and your mind is begging for that silliness, and you're just trying to hide it behind work and responsibility. But it's always good to have balance. And even though we know that balance is not always 50-50, It's still good to just create a life that includes things that you enjoy doing and not just work. Which leads perfectly into my second one, which is life is not just about work. It's really not. When I was 19 years old, I started working. That's when I started college. That's when I started working. And for the last, you can call it 10 years, it's just been about work. Well, actually, my first work was when I was in primary school, to be honest. My dad used to give me a sweetie pan to sell with bobbies and chocolate and a lot of sweets to sell at my primary school. I would sell off all the time, which was actually a part of my lunch money. Dad, child labor. Anyways, so that's when I actually started working. It was fun at that point, when I went through. But once I actually started working to pay my bills, like responsible working, my life just really became just about work. Working nonstop. Sometimes even now, as I've grown up and started to create a balance, incorporating my hobbies and just wanting a different dynamic for myself, I have to stop myself from working sometimes because it's not automatic. Like I I know that once I'm just in my working element, I am in my masculine element without even realizing it, because especially as a woman, you're often not as appreciated. You're often playing on a very unfair playground, especially when it compares to the next gender. So it's just like you have to always be advocating for yourself, always be on your toes, always be on the move, on the go, stern. And it requires a level of energy that's not restful, right? And so having that working all the time, it really throws you off. And as a woman, it's important to have balance. It's important to have that restfulness in your feminine self and being able to bring out the next side of you while you're working. Both of them are important for different seasons. Both of them are important for different reasons, right? So understanding that life is not just about work, and you have to have work, you have to have your hobbies, and you have to have your community. And by the way, if you have not yet joined my private Facebook community that I've created for ambitious women who are on their world journey, wanting to have supportive women around them, cheering them on, the link will be in the description below. You don't have to do this alone. I've learned the hard way, so you don't have to. So click that link in the description and join my community so we can all get osmosis, rubbing off on each other while we're on our journey to really truly become independent but have a good community of sisterhood behind us. All right. Number 9, don't neglect your appearance. When I was younger, I cannot forget. I cannot forget this. My dad said to me one day when I was getting ready for school, when you get older, you're not even gonna remember that you have hair on your head. Because when I was going to high school, I would spend 3 or 5 hours curling my hair. I was the hottest thing slaying sliced bread. Like, I had to look good when I left my house, right? My uniform had to be pressed down, pleat. My hair was just very on fleek. My blouse had to be the whitest thing. Like, my shoes, everything on me was just on fleek. And when I came, that was my entire experience throughout high school. When I started college and I came to the US, oh my gosh, I was just working so much. I was just working all the time. I never had time to care about hair. And also, I didn't have money because I was working, I was paying rent, I was paying insurance, I was buying my own food. Everything I needed, I was getting it, and it was really not as easy to maintain. I was working so early in the mornings and I got home so late at night. I really didn't have time to really focus on my hair, as just as he said. And so I even remember one of the times a friend of mine, she said to me, when you're at Jamaica, you look better. And I took offense to that statement, to be honest, because I just was so filled with having to do things that I really didn't have any time for myself. And it felt like or you're not understanding that I just have to be working all the time, instead of you're judging me that I'm not taking care of myself. But balance, as I said, is very important. And it's just understand that even though you are busy, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. And when you do good, it brings opportunities to you. So it does you better to take care of yourself. I know sometimes I still have to try to fit the time in to get my hair done, because currently I'm just rocking my natural hair, and it takes me about a week to get my hair done, because I'm just doing like small portions every day until I finish, because I work practically 7 days a week, or mostly 6 days a week, but now 7. And so I don't really have any time off to really do my hair. And when I get a time off, I'm so tired. Taking all the time to do my hair is just not on my list of things. I really just need to rest. So it's just so important to not neglect those areas of your life just because you're working. Like, still make an effort to show for yourself, not for anybody else, not for attention, but just for you. Take care of your skin, take care of your hair, take care of your teeth, smell nice, feel good. Like, take care of yourself. All right? Wear nice things and look beautiful for you, because you deserve it. Okay, number 10, read more. I never liked reading when I was younger. I actually hated it. It felt like the most boring thing I could do, and why would I spend my time just reading? Like, I could literally do anything else. That's how I felt. And so I had friends who were always reading, but not me. I was just not in it. And now that I've grown older and I became a reader, I'm just wondering, why did I not know that you just have to read things that you want to read? I never really was a fan of fiction books, and I just never wanted to read things that were made up. Like, why was I reading that? But no, I realized there are a lot of books, there's a lot of things. And what I like to do sometimes when I'm even listening to podcasts, I like to listen to business owners who come from the ground up. I like to hear their stories, very inspiring to me. I always try to see what I can learn from it. And it also reminds me that even if I don't have a role model, even if I don't have somebody that's directly in my circle who's achieved the level of success that I want, these are people who have done it. Those are things that you can find in books. You live your life vicariously through the eyes of other people. You learn about things that you would never know about, things that you've never known existed, just by picking up a book. You literally travel the world through somebody else's eyes just by picking up a book. And it helps you with your cognitive function too. So there's a lot of benefits with reading. You're learning a lot more, and you're keeping your mind active. And along with this, I could also say, right, I was always journaling from when I was a little child. And I kind of stopped journaling because of some privacy breach. But now it's also something that I do alongside reading. I like to write down my thoughts. I like to just put it out there. Anything that's bugging down my mind, I write it. Anything I'm excited about, sad about, whatever it is, I write it down. It helps me to keep my writing skills. It also just helps me to put it out on paper, because sometimes I have a lot on my mind and I feel like I cannot explain it the way that I have it in my head, but I can definitely write it down the way that I'm thinking it. So it helps me to organize my thoughts, and they just go well together. So that's something that I would literally say, like, when sometimes going through your bad days, picking up a good book and reading it can help you to get out of so many dark days. And I think that's just something that my younger self would have needed to hear. And number 11, stop trying to fit in. You are unique. I spent a lot of my childhood just trying to fit in, being the odd kid out, not having the best looks or the best things. I just always felt like I was measuring up to this invisible line where nobody really asked me to measure up to that. But obviously, because of my childhood growing up, traumas, and feeling neglected and out of place, that is the source for a lot of my wanting to fit in obsession, right? And If I knew what I know now, I wouldn't even dare try to fit into things and spaces that wouldn't even serve me anyway, right? Because we all are unique in our own ways, and we all bring something unique to the table. I could literally sit down with 10 women and we would have 10 different stories. We would have 10 different ideas. All of them are important. All of them can bring something new to the table. It doesn't mean that you have to discount your experiences just because you think somebody went through worse or they went through more. Whatever it is, like, your experiences matter, their experiences matter, everything matters, right? And if you're around anybody who's trying to make you like them, I'm not telling you to disassociate yourself, but I'm telling you that you have no reason to try to be like somebody else. You are unique as you are. You bring something to the table, and it's way more valuable than you think. And so you just have to get into that space. It took some time for me. It may take some time for you. Just be patient with yourself and remember that, you know, you are on this journey. It's a journey called life. It's not a sprint, it's a journey, and you will figure things out as you go. Who would have thought me, who wanted to grow up so much and not really listen to my parents, would be calling my parents for advice so often? And by the way, my parents are my biggest supporters right now. Like, honestly, I could tell them that I'm gonna sell stone and they would be backing me. Of course, sometimes they have to kind of bring me back. But also, it's just thinking about this concept. Like, we underestimate what we can do in a year. And we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10. Like, I could have never thought 10 years ago this would be where my life is at. Of course, it's not exactly where I want it to be, but it's definitely not what I thought it would be. Like, every struggle that I've been through as a child, they've prepared me for this moment. They've prepared me for this video to be sharing all of these things with you. And sometimes when I think about it and I think that, I have a little sister, I have a little brother, and I want them to be more successful than me. I want them to be better than me, more intelligent, more outspoken. I want them to advocate for themselves more than me. And selfishly, I don't want them to struggle. I want them to have the best that life has to offer. But I said selfishly because I had to go through my things in order to become this person, which means they have to go through their things in order to become who they need to become. And as much as it hurts to see the people close to us struggle, we have to just allow things to be as they are, because I was shaped out the way I am because of my struggles and my experiences, and they are going to be shaped out the way they are going to be based on their experiences and their struggles. So that being said, even though I would wish I could say these things to my 20-year-old self, like, she had to go through the stuff so I could even talk about this today. So, it's just what it is. And I'm forever grateful. That's why, as I said, my 20s has just been filled with a lot of valuable lessons. And by the time I reach 29, I probably have a lot more things that I'm going to learn that I can add to another list before I even get to 30. Because life is just so full of things that we're learning every single step of the way. And that's just truly what makes us the person that we need to be. So I don't know if you needed to hear me talk about things that I needed to tell my 20s, but if these are things that you wish you should have known, comment below. If you're a parent, share this video with your child, because maybe, like me, they didn't want to hear what my parents had to say or what you have to say, but they listen to it from somebody else who's gone through the experience that is not their parent. So share this video with them and see if this could be the thing that changes how they view life. Because that's my hope in making this video, that you would get perspective and you would do it differently if you've not done it already, or give somebody else the opportunity to do this differently. So you can share it, hype the video up, and comment below what stood out to you, if anything did. What are some lessons that you did that you resonated with, or some things that you did completely different from me? Like, let's talk about it in the comments. Like I said, if you haven't joined my community, you can click the link in the description to join my private community, and let's all come together and be supportive of each other on our journey as we're building wealth and designing the life that we want. If we haven't met before, I am Khrista-Lee Amore. I talk all things investing in you. And please subscribe, like the video, share it with everybody who needs to watch it. And that's all for this video. I'll see you tomorrow in the next one. Let's go make some mistakes. Bye.